Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and tonight I have another spooky story for you guys. This particular story happened this past December. We kind of have like a family tradition. Every year my dad gets a cabin in a place called Brown County, Indiana, which is southern Indiana. And it's very wooded, it's very hilly. It's not like really mountainous or anything. Obviously there's no mountains in Indiana, but southern Indiana is very hilly. It's very wooded, so we get kind of like they have a lot of like cabins and things in the woods and stuff like that. Great for camping, all kinds of really fun stuff. We go there a lot. But every year my dad gets a cabin, and this particular year, the cabin that my dad got was extremely haunted. There was a lot of really, it kind of felt like, I don't want to say negative energy, but a lot of heavy energy. And I noticed it as soon as we got there. I told Felipe, I was like, there's a lot of energy in here. It feels very weird. It feels very heavy. And we were actually staying the night. We usually stay the night, get up. We have Christmas that night. Then, we'll stay. The next day, we'll get up, we'll leave. So my stepmom is very sensitive. She is very in tune with the supernatural. She's very in tune with different energies and things like that. So when we had got there, she kind of pulled us aside and she was like, feels like there's a lot of energy in here. They had stayed the previous night, so they had already spent the night there and we had just got there. So she was kind of getting us up to speed. She's like, I'll tell you guys a little bit more later. So we ended up having Christmas, everything's fine, and this cabin had a really bizarre feel to it. It was very old. The carpet was very like kind of 70-ish kind of style carpet. The inside was all wood. It was like an old wooden cabin. It was really pretty. It was nice. It was big. Out in the middle of the woods. And it was kind of strange because outside of the cabin, like there's like a whole section of the woods was just like cut down. So it's like tree stumps. And I don't know if they were using it just to cut down for like forestry stuff. But the forest surrounding the cabin had a very weird vibe. So let's fast forward a little bit. Later that night, my husband and I are getting ready to go to bed. We go outside for a little bit. We're kind of walking around. This is maybe around midnight. So we start hearing something like something's walking around in the woods. And it's so dark out there. Like you couldn't even see your hand in front of your face. Like that's how dark it was. So we kind of hear something walking around, something being very quiet. Just kind of like walking around the perimeter of the cabin. So we didn't really think anything of it. We're like, there's another cabin not too far from here. People are walking around. Why are they doing it at midnight? I have no idea. But we end up going inside because we get a little creeped out. And it was the room we slept in. Wasn't a bedroom. It was like a big family room. And it was like when you walk into the cabin, that it was just one big room. And then it had like a door and then a little hallway. And then that was kind of like opened up to the rest of the cabin. So we slept in that front room, and it was huge. And there was like a pool table in there and like a TV in there. So go to sleep, and I was sleeping. My husband was against the wall, so he was sleeping closest to the wall. It was just like a sofa that you pull out and it turns into a bed. So I was sleeping closest to like the openness of the room. So he wakes me up at like 4:30 in the morning, and he's like, "Do you hear that?" I'm like, I'm listening, and I'm like, yeah, I hear it. It's an animal, and it sounded like something was scratching on the door on the outside of the cabin. And I was like, yeah, like I hear it. It's an animal scratching. Like we're out in the middle of the woods. As soon as I said that, the scratching started to move from the door to the other side of the cabin. Still hearing it inside that room, and it was just like. Like it had rhythm. And then right after I heard that, it moved, and there was a window like right next to where we were sleeping. And we started hearing scratching on the outside of the wall. And then what sounded like tapping on the window. And I'm thinking, this can't be a person because it's moving all around the room, but on the outside of the cabin. So shortly after that, I just had this feeling like somebody was just in the room. It got really heavy, and the energy just got really intense, and we had the door closed, and right outside of the door on the other side of the room was a hallway, and there was a washer and dryer in the hallway. So we also heard somebody walking pacing up and down in that hallway. Now, Felipe never goes back to sleep. I was so tired that I was like, you know what? This is weird. But I ended up falling back asleep. The next morning, we all kind of just ate breakfast really quick. We all left. Now, about 2 months after that, 2 to 3 months after that, I was talking to my sister-in-law, and they were there as well. Both of them were there. And I had mentioned something about hearing something outside of the cabin. And her jaw dropped immediately. She was like, "You heard that too?" And I was like, "Yes, I heard that." And she was like, "I thought I was the only one that heard that." She was on the second story, and she also heard scratching. Mind you, this is the second floor, and she heard scratching outside of her bedroom on the second floor. Now, there's no way that they could hear scratching up there. We heard scratching down there, and it was very weird. And then we all started telling our stories about what we experienced while we were there. And unbeknownst to me, my niece and my nephew were both there. They slept in a room, and they went to sleep. They put him to sleep, and about 30 minutes later, they go back in because they're kind of, a little scared. And the nightlight, the bulb from the nightlight was gone because they went to bed with the nightlight on, and they went back in the room, and the bulb, something had taken the bulb out of the nightlight, and it was very weird. So yeah, that was my paranormal experience at the haunted cabin, and I hope you guys liked that video, and I'll be talking to you guys very soon with some more creepy paranormal stories. See you guys.